Hi everyone, in this video we will explore themes found in the mark. Most literature essay topics will be based off of a single theme, such as corruption, appearance versus reality, or even character development. If we explore each of these themes, you should be able to adapt the evidence to suit any topic given to you. When writing literature essays, you are expected to provide evidence from the novel to support the topic. Let's consider evidence for the theme of corruption. In the novel, we see evidence of corruption amongst the elite. And an example of this is the Mangarian voting system. We know that the public is given 20 votes and they are given 20 candidates to vote for. So in the end, the 20 candidates each get a vote, which means no candidate has more votes than the other. And we know that it is not a fair democratic election, as the Mangarians get together and decide who will be the actual guardians. Another example is the locusts. They actually burn Section PT to get rid of the rubbish, meaning they burn the past traders to reduce population. That is completely unethical. Another example of unethical behavior is when the Mangarian officials withhold half of the welfare credits from the orphan warden in exchange for their silence. They do this because the orphan warden is corrupt, but instead of reporting her and bringing her to justice, instead the orphan warden bribes them. She tells them to keep half of the credits in exchange for their silence. Then we see Cockroach, who is the head of the locusts. He instructs the locust warden to get rid of prisoners during the riot, instead of bringing them to justice. This is just getting rid of the problem. Then we see the Mangarians conduct human experiments on prisoners in the laboratory and removing their marks, leaving the public to think that their children, sons and daughters are actually dead, when in actual fact they're being experimented on and their organs are being removed. We also see a situation where Larissa, who is the daughter of mistress and master, she should have been dumped on the reject pile for being an unhealthy baby, but instead the Mangarians are trying to find a cure for her, hence the experiments in the lab. Experiments are also being done on young children, the smalls, and the orphan warden is paid to hand over the children in exchange for credits. That also is complete unethical behavior. We also see evidence of corruption amongst the traders, believe it or not. The orphan warden feeds bug juice to the smalls to keep them quiet at night instead of caring for them properly, which is supposed to be her job. Handler Xavier, the orphan warden's son, uses the orphans to steal for him in the game. We also see traders stealing from each other. Cowboy steals from thieves, and they actually call him the thief who steals from thieves. Handler Xavier and the orphan warden also sell the smalls in their care to the Mangarians for human experimenting. So this just shows us the traders are just as horrible as the Mangarians whom they hate so much. Corruption runs straight through the novel. In the hierarchy, it runs right from the top, where the Mangarians are, to the posh, to even the traders at the bottom of the triangle. Let's look at the next theme, appearance versus reality. This shows us that everything is not as it seems. It appears to be one way, but in reality it is the complete opposite. Let's look at the following pieces of evidence. The Mangarians appear to be just and fair to the public. The public just puts them on a pedestal and everything they say goes. But in reality, they are corrupt. So here we look at the corrupt examples. For example, the voting process, which we discussed, it just deceives the publics. The guardians appear to be democratic, but in reality, the public have no say in who is elected. The next example is that the rules only apply to the traders. Larissa, who is sickly, is kept at home instead of being dumped on the reject pile. This is a clear example that the Mangarians only appear a certain way, but in reality they are completely different. Another example of the human experiments. Prisoners appear to be sent to Savage City, but in reality they are actually sent to the laboratory for experiments. Another aspect to consider is that the characters deceive each other. Handler Xavier pretends to be someone else every time he plays the game, in order to fool the posh and steal from them. In Chapter 1, The Monster, Handler Xavier appears to be a general citizen and someone who's on the beach and sees a monster and starts screaming monster. But a few seconds later, he actually comes across as a thief. So he wears different masks to fool those around him. Another aspect to consider is that Edyth appeared to be an orphan who was dumped at the orphanage by her parents in the beginning of the novel. That's how the readers saw her. That's how she appeared to be. But in reality, she is an illegitimate child of Handler Xavier and Mistress. She is not just an orphan. She was also saved by her grandmother, the orphan warden, who appeared not to care. We also see that Edyth never shows her true feelings or opinions, well, at least in the beginning of the novel. She says that I wear many masks. She admits to appearing a certain way, but in reality being completely different. Initially, she appears to be harsh, cold, and ruthless, but in reality, we know that she is kind, protective, and caring. Kitty appears to be shallow, vain, and selfish initially, but later on in the novel, we see the reality where she is revealed as being brave, protective, and self-sacrificing. She only appeared to be that way, but in reality, she was brave, protective, and self-sacrificing. Kitty is then called the mistress of the mask because she deceived Edyth the entire time. Kitty appeared to wear her heart on her sleeve, but in reality, it was all just a facade. The characters appear to live normal lives, but in reality, they are part of a secret resistance organization. So as you read the novel, you will slowly start to see how things are never as they appear to be. Now we'll look at the last theme in this video, character development, and I want to pay particular attention to the characters of Kitty and Edyth. There is a certain change in the nature of these two characters as the novel progresses. They appear to almost switch characteristics after Edyth discovers that Kitty is part of the secret resistance organization. Edyth becomes more vulnerable and open to those around her, while Kitty hides her feeling from those around her. Kitty also becomes brave and self-sacrificing and strong. Let's consider the aspect protectiveness and instinct. In the beginning of the book, Edyth appeared to be protective over Kitty, and we see this in the beach incident where Edyth fakes a seizure to distract the locusts from arresting Kitty. We also see that she's protective when she makes excuses for Kitty before the game. Now if we look at the character of Kitty, in the beginning of the novel, she appeared to be carefree and naive. She sneaks out to go to the pleasure clubs and does not worry about the consequences of her actions. If we look towards the end of the book, Edyth appears to be unaware, vulnerable, and innocent. We see this when she is too scared to volunteer for the resistance organization and calls herself a coward. She does not even try to stop Kitty from volunteering and watches her do it. On the other hand, Catherine now feels protective over Juliet. She makes excuses so Edyth does not take part in the game. She signals the incorrect room number at the pleasure resort so that Edyth will not get involved in the arrest, and she sacrifices herself. She even fights Handler Xavier when he suggests that Edyth should get arrested with her. If we consider their personality and their traits in the beginning of the book, we see that Edyth comes across as being harsh, a liar, knowledgeable, brave. She wears many masks. She is also mature, cold, and antisocial. And if we consider Catherine in the beginning of the book, She appears to be carefree, naive, childish, vain, selfish, greedy, and sociable. She doesn't appear to wear any masks. Towards the end of the book, however, Etty becomes vulnerable, honest, seeks openness, is caring, seeks to reveal her true self to Kitty, and she does not wear any masks. We see this when she tells her name to Nicholas, she's being vulnerable. She tells Kitty her name, and she also tries to be open with her. She is even open and caring towards Larissa. If we consider Catherine's character towards the end of the book, she is then strong, brave, self-sacrificing, and she hides her true feelings. We see this when she volunteers for the rebel movement, when she is called Mistress of the Masks, when she does not tell Etty about the resistance organization or what her real name is and her plans to get arrested. If we consider priorities, in the beginning of the book, Etty is determined to remove her mark, to run away, be free, and rebel against the Mangarians, whereas Kitty appears to be determined to do well in her trade as a pleasure worker, have fun, and enjoy her life. Towards the end of the book, Etty is determined to beat Dora and become Larissa's chosen carer. She seeks to leave the game behind and work in her trade as a drudge. However, Catherine, towards the end of the novel, is determined to fight against authorities. She volunteers for the rebel movement. Okay guys, I really hope this has helped you gain a better understanding of the novel or even just the themes. Please feel free to comment and ask questions. Thanks for watching.